We thought getting married would fix our loneliness, unhappiness, and even physical desires.
But that was a myth. And in today's episode, we're going to tell you some of the problems marriage can actually fix and how to enjoy a no fear marriage.
Episode number 2, numero dos.
Okay, smoother with the Spanish
I'm
today.
working on it.
Okay, good job.
You saw me kind of warm that up. Okay. We're here, second episode of the pod, of the No Fear Marriage podcast. And we're excited to talk about myths today.
Definitely.
What do you mean myths?
Well, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around marriage,
Right.
most of which I think we're going to be tackling through this podcast. And today we're going to be debunking the myth that marriage heals the things that are broken inside or fixes the things that are broken inside.
And you were the one that chose the word myth here. Was there a particular reason that you thought that was better than any other thing to?
Yeah, I just think there are just such widespread beliefs that are not true that will lead people to believe that they're in the wrong marriage or that getting married's not for them. Or I even knew people who would say things like they didn't want to get married because they only ever knew how hard marriage was. And that's all everybody ever talked about was marriage being difficult. And it's like, you're missing out on something so amazing because you believe something that just doesn't have to be true for you. Sometimes it can be true for some people, but it doesn't have to be true for you if you take control of that. So I think it's just important to be able to recognize in your own marriage, what are you believing that's not true? And what are you believing that can strengthen your marriage and your union and make it not what, sometimes people say.
Yeah, love it. Now, the first thing you wanted to talk about was that marriage. Should I reveal it? You want to say it? Or should I say?
You can reveal
I'll
it. You can reveal it.
Marriage is a mirror, which I really like that word play there. And I feel like there's a lot of things I'm learning as I get older that these things are actually mirrors, but marriage being one of them. And
Yeah.
I think you were talking about it being a mirror because you mean it like it reflects us, essentially, like it shows us ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. We touched on this a little bit in our first episode, but it's just the concept that marriage, to me, this is my personal opinion or experience, has been the most sanctifying thing in my life. The thing that the Lord has used the most, or that at the very least has made the most sanctifying effect or progress in my own personal life. Of the Lord using to refine. And so when I say marriage is a mirror, I think about how I was so selfish before getting married, or there were things about me, maybe prideful of a lot of different things that you can't really ignore once you're married. When you're single, it's one thing, but when you're married, now you have this person that you are one with, and that person's probably not going to be like you. You're probably going to be different in some things. And that just, it makes you see the things in yourself maybe you didn't see before, places where we need the Lord that we maybe thought we were fine before we got married. And now it's like, oh, actually, I don't like this about myself very much.
No, it's interesting because it's not like marriage is a mirror because we see, they reflect, you could think it's a mirror because you're going to see this person's going to be just like me, or this person's going to be,
like all the same things I like,
Yes.
think all the ways that I think.
Bro, we don't think at all alike at all in a lot of regards. I mean, we do more so now, a lot more so.
Maybe that's why this feels so sanctifying.
Right.
Because we're so different.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And something else that we touched on before was this idea that even we had a marriage counselor tell us how in the world did you guys get together? Because we're on such different wavelengths.
Yeah.
And that was before a lot of God changed a lot of things.
Right at the beginning. This is right at the beginning.
For sure. But there still are things that over time we had to learn to, people always talk about communication being such a huge thing in marriage. And so I feel like it's an overused, kind of thing, but it is true. There's things we had to learn how to, understand each other.
Yeah.
From the other perspective, or, maybe in some cases at least just acknowledge and respect that opinion, even if you don't quite understand it or ask for clarification, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
just so many different scenarios that we could get into, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, in the vein of it being a misconception, I think that's where, for a lot of people, it becomes a pitfall in marriage, is because you have this expectation that, this person's just going to go right along with every single thing that you do or like. And especially when sometimes dating can be that way. Dating and marriage are completely different ball games. And so, where in dating, a lot of the time is spent trying to accommodate the other person and trying to, keep each other happy. I think once you get married, especially when you are in our situation where we waited to live together until we got married. And so we're now living together for the first time and we're experiencing each other 24/7 now. And the things that are, that I'm nitpicky about or that you're nitpicky about or whatever that may be, it kind of unveils a lot of things that you don't see when you're dating.
So you're
And
the messy guy, the organized woman, you know what I mean? Like just a total difference. I'm like the creative, scatter stuff everywhere to like figure out a problem or fix something, you know? And you're like, well, we need like candles lit and like nice like room sprays, like what, you know what I mean? The other day I was like coming out from my room, I was like, do you smell that? Like it's like bug spray. And you were like, oh, it's just an essential oil diffuser I have spray, like every couple minutes it puffs throughout the air. I'm like gagging over here, like what is happening, you know? But
it's my calming essential oil.
it wasn't calming me. It was like freaking out my, allergy central.
Your asthma?
My asthma is like reacting to my asthma, That's,
I'm so sorry.
my gosh. I don't know what essential oil it is, but literally there was no bugs. Because that's what it smelled like. It smelled like rain. I was like, dang. Anyways. What were we even talking about? This is probably gonna happen a lot. We need to have like a word that gets us back on track, like back to the show or something.
We were talking about the expectations.
Yes, the idea that we're both so different.
That we're
right?
different.
Coming into this.
Yeah. And so not only do we have those little like differences of just even personality clashes or whatever, but also like sometimes just the way we think and the way we believe about some things has definitely changed and evolved over the last 8 years that we've been married. How we even come to like agree with one another when we do disagree about things has completely changed. Thank the Lord. But those things as misconceptions, if you have the expectation that it's just going to be perfect, it's just going to be the same exact way it was when you were dating, when you get married, and that everything's just going to fit. That's not typically how it goes. And so it'll make you think that you're in the wrong marriage or that you made a mistake or that you shouldn't be married or whatever, when in reality it's just sanctification.
So what's like the first maybe like example that you think of that comes to mind? I know you didn't plan this, but like what's the first example you think of that like this was a moment when you like the mirror concept played in, like over the last 8 years we've been married, like you realized something in yourself or you saw something that needed to change?
That's a really good question. One of the first ones.
It's almost like I'm a podcast host
Whoa,
over here. Wow,
not
look
you
at
being
this.
a podcast host. That's crazy.
My asthma. Just kidding. Okay, go ahead.
Everything's turned off. It's
Okay,
fine.
thank goodness.
Oh wait, there is a candle lit.
It's okay. It
It's
doesn't
fine.
smell
It's
like
fine.
bugs. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. One of the first things that I knew I had to change. Okay, well, I wouldn't say this is one of the first things. I'm sure there were more things before this.
Okay.
But, and I'm sure we'll do another episode way more in depth on this, but the concept of like girl power and feminism and marriage and biblical submission. That was something the Lord really had to refine in me. That was something that I had to look and say, hold on a second. Like, I decided that I wanted to make this lifelong covenant. And my goal and my intention and my desire has always been to be honoring to the Lord in that and to do things the way that He has asked us to do them, because ultimately, when we follow God's design, I think that's when we receive the best blessings in anything that we do. and marriage being one of those things. So I think for me, just kind of shedding a lot of that stuff that I was just fed as a single person, and not only through society and like pop culture and things like that, but also even just certain things growing up and being raised to be very independent, which is good. I think it's good. I still am in some ways independent, but also I just was so independent that I was not willing to be interdependent with you.
Mm,
And I think that held us back for a while in a lot of different places.
mm,
So I would say that's one of, just off the top, one of the first things that comes to mind of things that really just had to be refined and changed in the way that I looked at it and the way that I walked in it with you. That's probably one of the bigger ones. I think maybe you'd agree.
mm. Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, because it's like like you're saying, friction. It causes
Yeah,
friction when you like you want to kind of pull the reins or however that not in a it's hard to explain it in the right I gotta put the right words, but essentially like this idea that we both understand now
yeah,
are God-given roles,
right.
and it's not that one is better than the other or anything
Or
like
more
that.
valuable than the other.
It's just that like this person has this responsibility and this person has this responsibility,
Right,
and they're to literally like made for each other,
right,
you know? I was just telling somebody earlier today, it's like the idea of like male leadership in the home is not just so that I can sit back and kick my legs up and be like, I'm the leader, I make all the choices. It's
right.
like I have the responsibility, and as you've said before, like the burden, like you don't want to have the burden
Mm-mm.
of the decisions.
And this is me. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish
I
your
was gonna
point
say, and the
first.
last thing is that it also says that the man is to lay down his life for his wife, like Christ laid down his life for the church,
Right.
right? So it's not just for me to just like chill and just like whatever the image we have of like somebody, but like, hey, I'm supposed to make these decisions and serve
Yeah.
in this way. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, let me see if I can remember.
You said this is me.
Oh, this is me just like no filter for just like a second.
Hmm.
The whole concept of like the burden of headship, the
Hmm.
burden of being the leader, of being the head, of being the, you know, the leader of the home, of the household in that way,
Hmm.
carries such a burden. And for so many years at the beginning of our marriage, I thought that I wanted the benefits, what so-called benefits, what I thought being in control was a benefit to myself, which now I'm understanding it's really not necessarily in the way that I thought it was. But it carries a responsibility and a weight and a burden with it. And I thought that I wanted to do that, and yet we were so unhappy in our marriage. I thought that I didn't, it's not so much that I not only wanted to do it, but I just didn't want anyone else to do it.
Hmm.
I didn't want anyone else to have that final say or that, leadership role or authority that comes with being the head of the household over me. And that burden, this is just one thing, again, going back, no filter. I was not built or equipped by God to carry that burden,
Hmm.
but you were.
Hmm.
So the entire time it's bringing me down and I'm getting buried beneath this thinking that I'm so empowered, and the whole time it was a lie. It was another myth, another misconception that it's not for me.
Hmm.
And I think, in a deeper episode we can talk more about the dynamics of what that looked like, but
Hmm.
I'm so much happier now that I've just decided to release that. Over the last several years now, we've been operating in more of what I would call more of a biblical design for marriage, and we're happier than we've ever been, and we've grown in ways that I don't think we ever would have, that was so hindering to us. So
And it
anyways,
takes both, I think. And this could be a whole other episode.
that's why I'm trying to
But I
like,
would just say the last thing on that, unless you have something else, is like this idea that I, my growth point of that is that I have to step up and like where the things that, it's shown me as a mirror, right? Is that I have to step up and be willing to be bold and be actually a leader and make those decisions. And at
yeah,
first I wasn't doing that, and at first I didn't know how to do that, but it's like us getting in our correct roles holds each other accountable automatically without even having to say it. You know what I mean? Because like I have to make the decision here, and you are in submission of how we're doing these things, and it's because we're choosing that, not
Right.
because it's like, you know what I mean? It's like
Exactly. Which again, when we go deeper,
we're gonna get sorry.
we'll
It's
talk
like
a little bit. I know
yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you. When
Yeah.
we go deeper, we'll talk about how submission, biblical submission, is not related to you forcing me.
Right, right.
It's me relinquishing to you.
But we have other great things to get to.
Yes, I
That's
know,
right.
I know. Let's just come back. Let's
Yes.
come back to the topic. So marriage is a mirror,
A
right?
mirror, but not only a mirror, it's also, this is interesting because it's one of your favorite things in life.
It's my most favorite thing in life.
a loudspeaker.
A loudspeaker.
A loudspeaker. I'll be
I
coming
am-
home and I'll be walking up the front porch steps and I hear like Israel Houghton
Full blast.
blasting.
Full blast.
I can hear outside the house, you know what I mean? And it's great. And you will like, you have like legit, so like your family members are like professional sound engineers, like have been for years. And so
Mm-hmm.
you grew up in that environment, and I'm a musician, so I you know, I play the drums, so I grew up with loud, you know, stuff too. And so it's cool that like your dad gave you like real, like legit speakers.
My entire life, my dad would just come home and be like, "Oh, I found this at a yard sale," and it was this like triple speaker, like for a party, like for a huge event or something, and I would just have it in my room and blast it whenever I was like cleaning or worshiping or whatever the case. And that was years ago. It still has not changed. More recently, he gave me another pair of speakers, and
Small
it's
but mighty.
small but mighty,
They work
very
well.
mighty. So yes, loudspeakers are my favorite thing for sure.
And we called it the loudspeaker because it does what? It amplifies
Yeah.
what's there.
Yeah, I think that the marriage as a mirror concept speaks to maybe showing you something about yourself you didn't know. Maybe you weren't aware that you had this pride issue, or maybe you weren't aware that you had this, whatever it may be.
Like you look in the mirror like, oh snap, what is that?
Yeah, like that's there. I didn't see that there. I didn't know that was there. Whoa, it's a little bit of a surprise. But loudspeaker, marriage being a loudspeaker speaks more to maybe you know you're struggling with this. And you think that getting married is going to fix this problem.
Right?
And I promise you, it won't. It won't. It won't naturally, organically, smoothly, like a fairy tale movie, fix whatever's wrong with you. It's not intended to. I don't believe that's the purpose of marriage.
That's interesting. What do you mean by that? It's not intended to.
It's not intended to. I think that there are things that we see in pop culture, again, in media, in movies, in TV shows, wherever, that show that like you are here to help me and like fix me and fix my problems and fill the void of the love I didn't receive, or whatever the case may be. But the truth of everything is that only God can do those things. Only God can fill the void of the wounds that you have from when you were a child growing up, or even wounds caused within the marriage, or whatever your story is, whatever your situation is. Only God can fill those voids. Only God can change those things in us that don't look like Him, that don't reflect Him. And so sometimes when we are expecting our spouse to do it, it breeds disappointment. It breeds, maybe even feeling like the person that you're with is not adequate for you, or is not, because they don't fix this, or
that
maybe
fear.
because they make it worse. Yeah. Maybe because they make it worse. Maybe it's a trigger. Maybe it's, there's just so many layers to this.
Yeah, that's interesting because you said, not to cut you off, but
No, you're good.
it's like you're saying that you came into marriage with an expectation
Yeah.
that this, like we said, would fix these problems that I feel like I'm having, and so I'm coming in to fill the void. And then because it doesn't immediately fill the void, or even after a long time, because we were in a marriage for years and
Yeah,
voids
before.
weren't being filled.
Right.
And it's like, well, maybe this is wrong. Maybe I made a mistake. Oh my gosh, what have I done? Like it's like that fear,
Yeah.
right?
I had that for sure. I remember feeling like that a lot. And so it's like, well, not only is it showing me the things in me that I don't like about myself, some that I didn't know, but it's also then maybe I did come into marriage expecting that, like, well, this is going to help me with my XYZ. Maybe this is going to help me with my, at the time, like extreme extrovertedness, or maybe this is going to help me with whatever anxieties I was experiencing. And it's like, actually, it kind of just made those things that were wrong louder.
It's interesting too because I was sitting here thinking like, wait a second, is it all, because you said all the things that you're thinking. I was thinking, well, maybe there's some things that automatically, and the first thing that came to mind was like, well, I don't have to go like dating anymore. Like I can, you know what I mean? Because I got my person. But it's like, wait, no, you still have to date your wife.
Yeah.
So even that, it's like,
That's
it doesn't
good.
immediately solve all the problems. You know what I mean? Just
It
the fact that you
doesn't.
sign the paper and you put the ring on your finger doesn't solve all the problems.
Yeah,
It's like an embarking on a journey and a
Yeah.
commitment, you know?
absolutely.
And eventually it's going, well, how would we say this? Like it can solve the problems.
Well, this is where we talk about the problems marriage can solve,
Oh,
right?
that's true. That's true. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. But as far as the loudspeaker, before we get there, when you're talking about it amplifying, like I always like, I think it's a good idea to like chat through like maybe an example or two of like what that looks like. So, I mean, for example, like for me, like maybe, well, I see some of the things we talked about at the beginning, like loneliness, physical desires and needs, those kind of things. There were some, issues that we had at the beginning of our marriage that like, even the way that I came into the marriage was very selfish. And like you had some really difficult family trauma happening in that moment. Just some changes that were traumatic and difficult. And like I wasn't kind and gracious and compassionate during that moment. So I could assume that if you came into marriage thinking that it was going to help your loneliness because you're going to have your person, and then I'm now not compassionate, that you almost feel more lonely than you did before you came to marriage, because now it's like this is supposed to be the thing that, like, he's supposed to be the one that, you know what I mean? And for me, I think like the physical desires thing was a thing because it's like, oh, finally, I'm gonna be able to like solve this,
Especially those of us that
issue.
waited.
Right? And then, lo and behold, we encountered a whole bunch of other issues for years
Yeah.
that prevented that thing, that physical desire from being fulfilled in the way that we thought it should be.
Right.
And it literally, going back to the marriage as a mirror, took a lot of learning how I need to be and how I need to show up and sacrificial love, and how I need to have more patience, and how I need to, persevere, and all these different things that we could have used as excuses to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Become part of the statistic or whatever.
And I have always said, because of course, like you're being vulnerable about some of the things that were challenges for you that you maybe like needed refining, and I obviously had my set of things that I brought that definitely needed refining as well, that could have done the same. And so I have always said this, because now that we're on the other side of all of that, now that we've truly consistently for years have just enjoyed what marriage was supposed to have been the whole time, but we just didn't know, we didn't have the resources to attain that at that time.
And we still have a lot of struggles. So
Of
it's not
course,
like,
we're not perfect,
Right.
but we're on the other side of all these things we're talking about now. And so I think now that we are on the other side of it, I often
so
say,
cool to think that though. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I often say that we both had a reason to leave,
Yeah, you do say that a lot.
and we didn't.
Right.
By the grace of God. You could have said, well, this, and this, and so I'm out. And I could have said, well, this, and this, so I'm out. And the point of marriage is that you stay and you fix it. And I did want to say in the last episode, but forgot, so I want to say it in this one. We're not referring to abusive situations.
Right.
And we're not referring to, biblically, we're not referring to infidelity or things of that nature, although I do think we're very firm believers that God can restore even that. And I'm not well, this has not been our experience, obviously, of infidelity in our marriage. So I know that I'm not in the shoes of a person who's experienced that, but I feel that God can restore even that. And if you can grow through that and forgive, and, then you should. But also the Bible does clearly say that is, one of the reasons why people may get divorced. And so I just want to speak to those two things. We're not referring to, when we say just stay, we're not talking about abuse of
Right.
any kind, and we're not talking about infidelity.
Right. Good point.
But with that, I just am grateful now. And I think that's why just stay is such a huge, huge thing. And I'll give all credit for that to Bethany Wallace, who we were walking on the trail near her house one year, many years ago. And Caleb and I were really, really struggling. And I just was confiding in her. And she was the one who planted this idea in my mind of just don't leave. Just fix it. Just work through it. Work on it. And that's been years ago since that happened. I couldn't even pinpoint exactly what year, but it was a really long time ago. I think she had one child at the time. And now she has 3 beautiful children. But at that time, it was just so dark and so heavy. And there was just so much going on that we did not know the answer to. And we couldn't see a way through in that moment where we were. And yet we stayed, even though you could have quit and I could have quit. But we didn't. And so now that's why it's such a big thing for me. Just stay, just stay, just stay. Because if we hadn't, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Right.
And so there is hope. There's hope. There's hope. That's one of my big messages that I just want to convey. There's nothing so broken that God can't fix it. God can fix it. God can do it. 2 willing people submit to the Lord. No matter what challenges you're facing in your marriage, God can fix it. And it's worth going through that to be better for it in the end and to have a happy and healthy marriage.
For sure. And I think it's cool too to just, it reminds me of this idea that like something so simple as just stay is like, okay, that seems super simple, but sometimes it's like the right simple piece of advice at the right moment, right, can like flip your whole perspective and change everything. So
absolutely,
it's good.
Well, all in all, when we now wrap it up to discuss what problems marriage can fix.
What carbs can fix.
Marriage can fix.
Nothing. I'm just kidding. That would have been a twist. No. No. What?
Marriage can help fix sin. Because if I'm looking in the mirror and it's showing me, ooh, girl, this part of you is rough. This does not look like the Lord. I'm reading the word and I'm like, that does not sound like me. I'm reading Proverbs 31 and it's like all these wonderful, and I'm like, wake up early? That's not me, bruh. I'm reading. Yes, it is.
Wake up early's in there? Yes. Dang.
No, I'm just kidding. But I do like to wake up early, actually. That's the one thing I would check off the box. But I'm reading this
about what... You're not going to bed late. You're just early for tomorrow. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Early for tomorrow. No, I'm reading scripture and it's detailing all the things that make a strong believer. And I'm like, I am not these things. Well, now I know what those things are, right? You talk about marriage as a loudspeaker. Maybe there are things that as I'm reading, I'm like, I've known for a really long time that I'm not doing these things well or that I need help with these things. Well, now, because of marriage, I have an opportunity to see those things, to hear those things, to actually submit them to the Lord, and to be willing to have my mind renewed by the Word and by God, by the Holy Spirit at work tangibly in our lives and in our hearts and in our minds, convicting us, right? Not with guilt, not with shame, but just lovingly showing us, hey, I can help you with this. I think that's the problem marriage can fix if you submit yourself to the Lord.
That's good. I would say it also can fix just general, like, growth things. You know what I mean? Probably. Because, like, for example, like, thinking through, like, I have to learn how to, like, we both have had, back to communication, had to learn how to listen to each other, how to really take into account what the other person is needing and saying, and how to, how to respond, which can help you in all sorts of different areas of life, right? But I like the concept of it being a mirror and being a loudspeaker, and it, like you said, is a tool for sanctification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's our encouragement, right? Our encouragement to people is to be willing to sit down and ask the Lord, what is it? I think the question, the $1 million question in this episode is, what is it that I'm relying on my spouse for that I should be relying on you for? Or what is it that my spouse is triggering in me And I'm not saying that maybe your spouse is blameless, because none of us are blameless. There's nothing perfect about either one of us. But what is it that it's triggering in me that might be an old wound, that might be, old trauma, that might be an old lie, or as my counselor has helped me determine my core lies, things that I'm constantly repeating to myself about myself, whether that's just about me, about how others relate to me, whatever the case may be, that this person is triggering. And at what point in the mix of all of this is it my responsibility to say, okay, well, I'm no longer going to rely on you to be God for me, right? To be what only God can be for me. And also, at what point am I going to take responsibility of the things that have hurt me maybe in the past, or that are even currently still hurting me now, that I maybe have control over, to say I'm not going to allow this to continue to wreak havoc on my soul, on my mental health, on my heart, on my marriage, on my self, my life, my future, whatever that looks like.
And I think that as married couples continue in marriage, like as we get older and over, like those question, the answers to the question, that was a really good question, I thought. How'd you say it again? Say it one more time.
What is it that I'm relying on my spouse to do that only God can do?
Right. And what is it that's triggering?
Yeah, that my spouse might be triggering in me that maybe is my responsibility. Even though, again, I'm not saying that the person triggering you is blameless, but I'm saying maybe is that triggering something in you that is really not their fault. And maybe maybe it's not your fault. Maybe it's something I need to say, wait a minute, I shouldn't be responding this way, or what's making me react this way.
I think that it's like as we get older and further into marriage, it's like we don't stop having those questions, probably. Like sanctification isn't like a process,
Forever.
right? So we're going to just have different versions of those questions.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what is that? What is that weird anger feeling that I'm feeling right now because of that what was said? You know what I mean? What I need to work on in me. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of, I feel like I don't know if this is the right analogy here, but it's like that idea that marriage is not 50-50. It's what?
100-100.
100-100. Yeah.
That's good.
So that way, even if I'm feeling weak and you're giving 100, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you're feeling down and I'm giving 100, you know what I mean? It's not, then we're at least we're both at 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're both at least 100 together, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So marriage is a mirror. Marriage is a loudspeaker.
Yeah.
And marriage is
a gift.
A gift.
For sanctification.
Sanctification.
And refining and ultimately healing if you submit the things that you're seeing and hearing to the Lord. So, to help you guys from a practical perspective, we are creating a self-inventory checklist. And all this is a simple tool that's going to ask you some questions. My challenge is when you go through these, be honest with yourself. It only works if you're honest with yourself about what all we've just said. Lies we might be believing, old wounds that might be getting triggered, whatever it may be that's in the way, that's creating some fog or conflict or clashing in your marriage. We have to be willing to look into ourselves first and say, where am I falling short here? Where can I help? Like we just said, 100-100. Where can I contribute to this getting better or improving, or this area of our life healing? So the way that this works is there a link?
Yeah. There's going to be a link in the description here. And you can pick it up there, just a little downloadable. And it'll just, within a few minutes, help you see where the friction is. Within looking at your marriage as a mirror.
Yeah.
Where the friction is.
And where you're relying on your spouse for what only God can do. I think that's a really, really big one. Again, coming from all the misconceptions and all the lies and myths, right, spoken around marriage, and ultimately knowing that God is our healer and God is our fixer, right? So...
And I think what's valuable about being able to look at those things like little by little, right, is because sometimes it can feel so overwhelming that there's so many different things wrong and there's so much going on. and you're trying like there's a leak, like if like imagine because we just had like maybe a little bit of like leak happening because it was crazy raining here, and all of a sudden we look up and there's like a little spot towards the edge of the ceiling, like by the window. But imagine there was like all of a sudden there's a leak over there and it starts pouring through, and then all of a sudden it's pouring through over here, and you hear something happening over here, and you're like, oh crap, everything is going wrong at the same time.
It's almost like, where do you start?
Right. So if you are able to have something like a self-inventory checklist to like sit down and say, okay, here, get some clarity here.
Yeah.
That I can start to actually take action.
Yeah.
Once I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So yeah, download that, and I would say in the chat, in the comments, yeah, put what's the thing that you feel like is the friction for you right now, is the thing that's either you're seeing as a reflection, like this is something that I want to work on, or you're seeing as a loudspeaker, like this is something that I feel is maybe painful right now. If you would be so vulnerable.
Yeah, we love vulnerability around here, and if you respond, if you comment, we want to respond. So we want to see what you guys are saying and respond if we can in a way that's encouraging and helpful. So we welcome vulnerability for sure.
So, anything else?
That's it.
Wow. So this has been episode number 2 of the No Fear Marriage podcast.
Yay.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, babe.
Oh, thank you, babe. Are you shaking on it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a marital shake of hands.
That sounds weird.
It's a marital That's weird. Anyways, we'll figure out a good way to end these things at some point.
We're eventually going to get it.
We're probably never going to get it. It's okay. Sanctification. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Bye.